This is Angie Moehlmann here, and I am your AI coach. And we are live with Suzanna Kaye, and we're so excited to have her on our session today. And she is going to be giving us some amazing tips. But Susanna, why don't you start by just telling us a little bit about what you do?
Absolutely. Thank you, Angie. And I'm super excited to be here with you. I met Angie somewhat recently, and we have been talking about AI like crazy people because we're obsessed with all of this. What I do, I am a paper organizer and to-do list specialist. So I focus on helping people get their papers organized, understand the mental mindsets behind their papers and productivity, and knock out their to-do list. And that's why AI to me is like this amazing toy store, with reason. I'm always watching
Right.
out and being careful with it, but at the same time, figuring out how to use this safely has been amazing. And Angie's been such a huge help. You're just gonna love her too, I think. Like
Well,
those
thank
those who have
you.
not met her.
Right. So we have some different crowds here, some who are joining us from Susanna's um, following, and then also some new people that are hopefully new to her as well. So if you would in the chat say hello where you're joining us from, if you want to share what you do, and we can all kind of get to know each other a little bit. So without further ado, Susanna, why don't you just lead us off and tell us some of the amazing things that you've been doing?
Absolutely. So along with AI, and trying to figure out how to be safe within AI, I've really been looking at what are some safe ways that we can use some of these tools that do not require a ton of technical expertise and hours of figuring out the how. I just want to be able to get it done. So I've been finding my favorite tools, the ones that are the easiest and can do the most things that are also secure as we can trust AI to be these days. And I've been testing out various things with them. So I wanted to share with you some of the ADHD specifically, but generally, if you're overwhelmed, these tricks will work for you. These are the productivity tricks and techniques that I have found that I'm using myself for my ADHD because I'm like a kitten on Red Bull most of the time. There's no focus. I'm all over the place. Uh, I figured that these can help you out, whether you are also all over the place or maybe you just have a lot to do and not enough time to do it. So that's what I wanted to talk about today, that Angie's been kind enough to share her Zoom session with me. But I wanted to share three of my absolute favorite types of tasks that I'm doing and give you an overview of kind of where I'm doing them, how I do them, what it sort of looks like. We're not going to go into a deep dive where I'm going to teach you exactly how, just because there's not enough time for that. I do have a webinar coming up next week that I dive into the how and go super deep. But this time I just want you to know what these things can do. And I know my Path members, you guys already have heard me talk about some of these tools. So this will just be like another layer of usefulness for you with some of these tools that you're starting to explore.
And Susanna, I just want to remind everyone, in case you didn't get the notice, also there is a free Facebook group that we're all sharing in, and I'm going to pop that into the chat, and I'll also share it at the end. But just to make sure that everyone has an opportunity to join that, so that you can continue. We're going to offer lots of opportunities for you to continue your learning. This is just a little bit of a snippet. So, all right, thanks.
Awesome. Well, all right, I'm going to share my screen so you can see some of the great things that we can do with these tools. So I'm only talking about two tools today. The two tools that I'm talking about are ChatGPT and Notebook LM. Now, the reason I'm talking about these two is because A, super easy to just open them up and get started. B, they seem to have some of the best policies in place as far as security and just the structure of how they're trying to manage this new thing called AI. And three, they can do such a wide range of things. You don't need 5 million different tools. And I'm doing this now to kind of help maybe keep you from getting too many different tools so you don't remember where you do various things and you start to lose your information. if you can narrow it down to just a few tools that you're using for as many different types of tasks as possible, then it's going to be much easier to find your information when you need it. Trust me, I've done it the wrong way already. So don't do me. Do it with just a few tools. So to start off with, and hopefully you can see my screen all right. If you ever can't hear me well or you can't see my screen, let me know and just pop that in the chat. I'm going to try to watch the chat off and on, but it disappears when I share my screen. So
I'll help you too. I'm kind
okay,
of
good.
monitoring it.
I was going to say, Angie, if you could help a little bit, that would be awesome. Okay, so AI-powered productivity hacks for the ADHD mind. I have just a few slides that you can see what I'm talking about because I talk fast. First off, I wanted to talk about all of this data that we have in our lives, whether we're researching things or putting things together and accumulating different content, ideas, whatever it is, we have so much information that we're trying to just manage and figure out how to access. AI has been an amazing tool for giving us access to this data again. So first off, I wanted to talk about how we can work with these large amounts of data to make them useful for us again, instead of dying in a notebook or in Google Drive. Second, I wanted to talk about getting past the blank page. Now, there's a whole lot of talk about whether AI should be used to write articles or content or books or anything like that. And I'm with them. I don't want to read a book completely written by AI. But sometimes we need a little help to organize our thoughts, to get that page to not be blank so we have a starting point, and to have something to massage to make it feel more like us. So I'm going to talk about getting past that blank page and using AI in order to be able to write content or write emails, whatever it is. And then third, I wanted to talk about focusing on the right tasks. Y'all know me, my to-do list queen here, where I'm always looking for the best ways to manage your to-do list, your priorities, and your projects. I'm wrapping it up with how I've been using AI to make my daily to-do list for me based on my priorities and based on what needs to be done and how I've handled projects and things like that. Like I said, this is going to be kind of a, 30,000 mile up overview of these things. If you want anything more in depth, then I am glad to talk about it on the webinar or help you out at other times within the membership, but I wanted to let you know what this can do. So to
And
start
I
with,
also want to say,
yeah,
Susanna, if we
please.
could, like, as I have ADHD truly as well, I'm going to think of things that you're talking about and I'm going to add in. So I don't want to throw you off, but I
Oh,
can't
go
wait
for it.
to add on. So, okay.
No worries. No worries. Just, you might have to interrupt me, but it's okay. Please do, because I talk a lot. There's no way to get in a word edgewise.
You are awesome.
So first off, I was talking about all that data that we have. I don't know about you, but I know for me, I am constantly surrounded by notebooks. Rocket books are my thing. Calendars, ideas that I'm typing into places, content that I've created that I have in like Google Drive, but have no idea where. There's so much information out there that having a way to have AI look through all of that information in groups that I'm telling it to and tell me about the information I just fed it. So basically it's telling me my own ideas back. So what I like to use for this is Notebook LM. It's by Google. And for Notebook LM, the best thing about it is it's not searching the internet. It's not searching what it's been preloaded with data. It's not using other people's ideas and information. It's basically similar to Evernote in that you're creating your own notebooks with your own information, but it then takes it and you can ask it questions. You can have it perform tasks based on that information, and it's all you all the time. If you are writing, like if you're writing a book, if you're writing content, this is a genius way to pull your ideas and analyze them into amazing products, amazing content, because you're not using anybody else's ideas. It's all you. And I love that about it. So within Notebook LM, one of the things, let me know in the chat if you're from Boss Moms, if you're part of the Boss Moms group, because it's one of the groups that I love as a mom and as a small business owner. But within Boss Moms, we talk a lot about the Nurture to Convert course. Dana from Boss Moms has the course, and this course is absolutely amazing in helping you to find your brand identity, figure out what your brand does and all the words for it, figuring out the marketing, how to explain what your brand does. But it's so much information that once I've created it, my brain could not grasp how I could fit it all together and keep using it consistently. So I kept going off brand because my brain would forget. So I use Notebook LM by Google, and I created a notebook of all of my content for the Nurture to Convert course that I created. So it's not her course, it's all the content that I created based on what she taught me. Now, if you don't have the Nurture to Convert course, that's fine. This will work with any course. So as you're creating information, gathering information on a course, you can dump it right into Notebook LM. It will link to Google Docs. You can upload PDFs. You can do video. It won't find any of the pictures in the video. It basically analyzes the transcript of the video. You can do specific website links, not the whole site. You would tell it exactly where you want it to go. So as you can see on your screen, this is what Notebook LM looks like, and I've added in my data. So there's 3 parts to Notebook LM, all right? And I will share the link to this in the chat area afterwards. I realized I did not put the link, but it's just, I believe, notebooklm.google.com is where you can get started. You already have it with your Google account. They've got a free version. Neither of these things cost anything. I have the Plus version. It won't make a difference in anything that I'm teaching you, though. So on the left-hand side are all of your sources. This is where you're telling it to pull information from. So on the left-hand side, I have put all of my Google Docs with the different parts of what I created during the course. So it has my belief shifts and my opinions and my movement manifesto and my framework. It has all of those different pieces of information. So you can see it on the left, and you can even select maybe one time you don't want to have it pull your opinions. So you can uncheck it. But this is all it's going to pull from. It's not going to pull external data at all. So it'll just pull from what I gave it. And then in the middle, this is where you type your prompts. You can ask it questions. You can tell it to do something. And it automatically starts at the top with just kind of a summary of what it sees in the sources. So, and I know you probably cannot read the screen because it's super tiny when it's on a video like this, but I will tell you a little bit about what happens. So I could ask it a question such as, what does Susanna Kaye sell? Or actually do, because
And
I don't have
Susanna,
all
while
my
you're
products.
typing your questions in there, I'm going to add to your
Yeah.
conversation to just share. Some people were asking, like, can you upload from other sources? And yes, the answer is yes. So you could do Word, you could do PDFs. Another great idea is to use, I know some people use like Claude and Perplexity when they're doing like a deeper dive, like a research, or maybe you just want to pull information about a particular topic and then really tailor what you're going to do with it. So you can go to those sites, pull in that information, and then add it here. So it'll give
I'll
you,
show you an
okay,
example.
great.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, because
No, you're
I'm
good.
just letting Susanna run with it, and she may already have all these things that she's going to talk about, but I just want to contribute that as well.
No, please, definitely, because you have so much knowledge about AI as well that I love it. I love it. So in this chat area, I just asked it, what does Susanna Kaye do? And based on all the stuff I've created about my brand through the course, it says that I provide expert guidance. I offer community and connection through my Pathfinders Plus Club. I focus on mindset. I offer a membership program. I emphasize small steps, provide support and accountability. So just by asking it, what do I do? It's going through that data and it's telling me those key points, which for me, I'm not seeing the data as a whole. So I missed out on a few of these things that I'm like, oh, that's right. I talk about that a lot. And I did not remember to include that in some of my content and things. And then I also asked, what does Susanna believe is important in her business? And then it talks about how mindset's crucial for successful organizing, small steps, community and connection, perfection's not the goal, progress is, some of my real key beliefs that I talk about the most. So that's one way that we can prompt it, right? We can ask it questions and have it spit back the information. I will show you other ways with some other examples, but this is really helpful when you have all that information, whether it's a course or all of your notes about your doctor's appointments or all the meeting notes that you took from like a different group that you might belong to, all of that data in one place where you can ask it questions. It's going to spit out the information, and it will even give you little citations of where it found it. So you can hover over it and it'll say which documents it found this information in, so you can go right to that spot and see what that whole conversation was or whatever it is that you wrote about it. And then on the right-hand side, you have some pre-built actions that Notebook LM can do. So on the right-hand side, it's pretty much going to look like this for everybody, where at the top, it can create an audio overview for you, where it, this is my favorite thing. And it was not working the other day for playing through video. So I tested it. You can actually hear it now. It will create a talk show based on your information. And it's like listening to a podcast with all of that information. So if you're an audio learner, or if you're just busy and can't sit down and read the whole thing, then having this talk show is amazing. And it sounds like real people. Like it's pretty intelligent. So, and they're
Talking
testing
about
an
something that I
interactive mode
think
too.
a
Here it
lot
is.
of people struggle with, and I know I personally struggle with it.
Yeah.
Getting organized.
Oh, yeah.
And specifically, we're going to zero in on paper clutter.
Paper.
Because, ugh,
It's the worst.
it's the worst, right?
Yes, it is.
Like it just...
So they go through.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
Each page is a different category or project.
Uh-huh.
And then you list out the specific tasks for that category.
So they just created a talk show based on all the information that I fed it, and they found those key points, and they created a conversation, like a question and answer interview sort of style audio program. This is great, not only if you're using stuff about you and your business, but it's also great. Maybe you've gathered a lot of research and you just want it to tell you a summary of what all it is. The interactive mode is brand new. It's getting better and better as it's being tested. You can ask them questions and they will answer you, which is pretty cool. It's like you're a caller on the show. And then underneath that, there's a place where you can store notes. You can create different types of documents with just a press of a button, such as a study guide, FAQs, a briefing document, and a timeline. So
Susanna, can I
please.
pause for a second? So I want to go back to the audio overview. So imagine, I mean, there are so many uses. And in fact, if you guys are thinking of uses, will you pop them in the chat, like relating to your field? Like, what are you thinking you could use this? I'm thinking even for my kids to study from, because you can upload, PDFs or short books, and it can summarize it for them. It can, and I think what you hit upon with that audio feature, let's say you're going for a walk and you just want to listen to something and you want to learn something at the same time, you can pop in those resources and then it just gathers it all for you. It's incredible.
Absolutely. Especially somebody like me, where I only retain a small amount of the information if there's so much of it. Then this feeds me the important information and I can dig deeper wherever I need to, because I can go right back to exactly where they found the information and find all the context and deep dive into that if I want to, or I can just get the overview. So with this, having something like an FAQ, this is the perfect way to create an FAQ for your business or for a product, or if you're helping a child study, have all of their notes are put in. You can create a study guide. You can make an FAQ that can become flashcards. There are so many different ways that you can use this within business, education, and just your life. So, oh, I lost my mouse. There it is. So that's one way that I've been using it with a course. And like I said, just high overview here. But another way that I've used it within my business, I've uploaded a bunch of different transcripts of things that I've done and blog articles that I've done. So this way I can help myself create my own content based on the content I've already created. So new ways to say something or new ideas that I can have based on all of this information. And it can brainstorm with me. I can have it analyze things. I can chat with it back and forth, such as I can, if I put in a specific website where I want it to look for information, I could try to figure out, oh, are there any statistics or links between depression and paper disorganization, paper clutter? And it can search that website and my things, and we can have a talk back and forth about, okay, well, are there statistics? How is it linked? And have a whole conversation to find new ways to talk about some of these things.
Okay, let me pause. Melanie,
Yes.
I wanted to address. So she said, I was just thinking I could make a podcast of my pet sitting business. You 100% could. I put a link in there to my YouTube channel, which, hey, shameless plug, go ahead and subscribe there. However, I am doing a podcast with two imaginary characters that I made up, and their names are Ellie Echo and Peter Pulse. And they're these characters from the Notebook LM, basically, and they're talking back and forth. And I thought this would be a fun way to teach people about different topics. So, like, how do you create a custom GPT? And they just talk back and forth, or what is a custom GPT? So you can feed it information. So, like for the pet sitting business, for example, you could upload a bunch of different websites that have information about it, and then create them talking back and forth. It's so cool.
Yeah, it's a great way, even if you like publishing it right as it is really cool, because right now it's so new. People are fascinated by the fact that it's created by AI, as well as fascinated by the information. Eventually people will not want to hear the AI do it, but right now it's still fascinating. But it can also give you so many ideas of how to talk about your business. So when you're in the park and you see somebody with a pet, now you know, oh yeah, on that podcast, this is how they talked about what I do. So you have more words that can quickly explain things to people. And that's always been one of my, like the elevator speech is like the bane of my existence because it's just really hard to be concise. And this really helps with that. So thank you, Angie, absolutely. And then, so there we go. So it can help you, like I said, with ideas, with brainstorming, taking all of your information and creating something new about it or understanding it. It can also help with summaries. So ideas and summaries, some of the ways that I've done that is I just started to do the idea dump. So I'm the queen of writing down ideas and just leaving them to die in notebooks or Microsoft or Google Drive or places like that. And then I never look at them again because I don't even remember what it is about or where it is. So I've been starting to just dump them into one notebook. You can have multiple notebooks, by the way. So each notebook can have a theme. You don't have to commingle your data. But these are just all of my different ideas. So now I can go in and ask it something such as, what would be a really good episode for a podcast that would have to do with Mother's Day? And it can look through all of my ideas and start to pull some of those different ideas, including I can ask it things like, which of my products would be good, would make sense along with that? What marketing ideas have I had around Mother's Day? And then it can pull the ideas such as, oh, well, you thought about a printable make your own flower or whatever it is that I had randomly dumped in there like 3 years ago that I'd forgotten about. And it can pull in these ideas and connect them to other ideas, which is so nice. And you can also just ask it, what are all of my ideas about a topic? And it can give you all of your ideas in one area instead of scattered throughout different scans and documents and all of that. So if you're a notebook person like me, if you have decent enough handwriting that you can scan it and use the text recognition, it's a great way to save your notes. If you're not, that's okay. You can always do an audio to text. So just use voice recognition, read out your notes, and have it transcribe your notes for you. And that can be a document there. So you don't have to rewrite all of your notes just to get it into Notebook LM. Some of my notes are kind of scattered. Great handwriting, terrible organization on the page. So this is really helpful. And I can also hear that podcast. It'll tell me what types of ideas I even had for things that I've completely forgotten about. So that's the ideas and brainstorming. But summaries, now I use the summaries the most for complicated information. So one example was when my husband had like a bunch of legal documents that he had to try to figure out. He does not speak legalese, and I did not want to be the person trying to look up terms and explain some of these things to him. So I just redacted, I blacked out on the PDF anything personal because we already knew who it was about, and uploaded it to Notebook LM. And then I said, tell me in plain English, like rewrite this in plain English. And it could take that whole document and write it out in a way that my husband's like, okay, I understand that. Why don't they just use those words? And then he could ask it questions. He could say, does it talk about what happens if, and ask his question, and it could give him answers back. And it could give him like a briefing document and a timeline, which is nice because some of the documents had when different events happened. And it could give him, okay, this happened here, 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 and here. And it organized it in a linear fashion for him instead of all over the place, like the legal document had. Or here's an example of if you have something that you need to look up on the IRS website, that's easy to read, right? Well, you can link those website pages and upload PDFs and ask it questions. So for example, if you have to fill out one of the tax forms, like the Schedule SE, if you're a small business, you might have to do that. You can upload the form and the instructions and then ask it questions such as, what do I do if I have multiple businesses? And it will pull all of the information for you about the multiple businesses, including where it found it. So you can double check to make sure that it's accurate in your context. If you weren't positive, what portion of Medicare tax do I need to pay? And it can give you all of the information about how to figure out the Medicare tax that you're responsible for. I run a 501c3 religious charity. Am I exempt from any tax? And it can tell you, I don't. But it can tell you these are the taxes within this document that you are liable for or exempt from. There might be others, and it will usually try to warn you if there's more information that it might not have access to, which is nice. But this can save you so much time and give you those answers and the references to where to find them much faster than just trying to search through the site and understand it. So that's a way that I use the summaries. And Angie, I keep wanting to call you Angelina. I just love the name
It's okay.
Angelina.
I call myself Coaching with Angelina, but
Okay, good.
Angie or Angie is good.
Did you have any other Notebook LM things that you wanted to add in?
Just a few strategies. I use it to kind of keep track of some of the resources that I find around a topic. So right now I'm focusing on supporting social media managers. And so I've labeled some of my notebooks, marketing strategies, or another one is like how to create custom GPTs. And so anytime I find resources, I just put them all there to kind of just save them and collect them so that I can refer back to them.
I love that one. See, I knew that you'd have like cool stuff that I hadn't even thought of yet.
Okay, but that's the thing is like, it's so fun to hear from everyone and how they're using it. So like pop in the chat if anyone's thinking of another way that you might think about using Notebook LM. And then I know that you wanted to share another cool way.
Absolutely. So that's Notebook LM. I'm also using it to write a book right now with all of my own content. I like that's the fact that it's not going to pull from anything that is not come from my own brain. And it's helping me organize it and analyze things and figure out what might be missing that people might have questions about, because in my brain, I understand it. But, a lot of times somebody who's new to it is not going to understand some of the things that to me, I understood. So I wanted to talk really quickly. A lot of you've probably heard about writing with ChatGPT, using AI to help you write. And that's one of the first integrations that they seem to do into all of these different programs. But you might or might not know that you can actually create your own, they call them GPTs, which is little database customizations. You can create one specifically about how you write. And it's really, really cool. I didn't pull it up yet. Let me pull this up. There we go. Yep, I really want it. Okay, so within ChatGPT, I'm going to give you the high level. You can create your own, called GPT, one of these choices along the left-hand side, or you can always, if you don't have a lot of choices, explore GPTs. But I have one that's called the Susanna Writing Clone, because I've taught it that my style, what types of information I like to share, my tone, what types of words I like to use. And I trained it on that. So that way, if I want it to help me write an email or an article, I'm not getting something that's completely off base from who I am. And then I have something that's much easier to refine because it already flows like I flow and it already uses some of my words. So some of the ways that you can do this, the easiest way actually, is really simple. You can just create a new chat within GPT and feed it information about you and your writing style. And that way, whenever you go back to that chat, it can remember it. You can ask it to refer back to your writing style within the chat. There are some more in-depth ways to create more complex GPTs, but if you're just starting out, this is a great way to do it. And you can save some of that information to just put right back in again if you want to. It can get as complex as loading in a lot of your written or verbal content. For me, I also like to write like I talk, but slower. You can put in your content and have it analyze your content for you, and then use that to create your style. Because then it can see what words you're using, it can see how you organize things, understand your flow, feel your tone. So within this GPT, I already trained it by adding in a bunch of emails that I've sent out, a bunch of articles that I've written, and some transcripts from some of my lives. So then I can go in and I can ask it to teach me something, and it can teach me within my own words. Like I asked this, teach me, how do I train a GPT to write in my style, use my tone and style. So it starts off with, oh, beautiful, I love this question. And then the little,
And that's
celebration of
totally
it.
you. That's your
So
language.
me.
Oh, beautiful. I love it.
Right? And the more I use this and give it adjustments, the smarter it gets. So, it started off with not using beautiful the way that I use it, and I had to refine it. But every time I refine it, it gets smarter about how I write. Now, this does not mean that this is going to be my final version, because it does to me still sound a little AI-ish. So I then can take that and make sure that it's saying exactly what I want in the tone that I want to. So I can just go in, but I'm not starting with a blank page, and I'm not starting with somebody else's flow and structure. So it makes it so much easier when it already feels partly like me.
And
So
I
it's,
think, Susanna, if you think
yeah,
about it in phases, like step one is you're just kind of exploring, and that might be where some of our users are like, I'm just going to go to Chat GPT and just get started.
yeah,
And then there's kind of like the next level user is like creating a custom GPT. And I am actually, and I know you're teaching a class coming up soon, but the
I'd say
one
you're
that
the one to go to for training the GPT though.
so the one that I'm going to be teaching, and I tried to, use my teacher language, but it's called How to Train Your Robot. And so we're going to actually, everyone's going to walk away with their own custom GPT, exactly like what you're talking about. So I'll pop that link in the chat if anyone's interested.
I might attend that one if I can actually, if I'm available. I'll definitely at least watch the replay. I'll sign up for
Awesome.
that one because there's so many things I just want to pick your brain about. But yeah, Angie is the one to talk to about training GPTs and that type of setting things up within ChatGPT and within AI in general. So I'm not in my thing talking in depth about this, but this is really helpful to know, especially if you struggle like I do sometimes with how to organize the information, like how to say what I want to say. So I will use this sometimes when I have to write a difficult email, maybe something where I'm too emotional about it, or I don't know how to say the thing, and, there might be emotions involved. Then I will have it write the first draft, and I can keep adjusting it until it feels like, yeah, now that feels like soft and how I want it to flow. And that gives me all the ideas. And then I can go in and adjust anything that I need to as well. So that's how I would use it for personal use a lot as well.
And I think someone requested that you write a book. Miss Judy over here said she needs you to write a book, and I love that. And I want to highlight on that because truthfully, you are talking about all this data that you have collected, and it can absolutely help you to come up with the outline and come up with the framework 1,000 times faster. And like you said, it's not that we're just going to copy everything that's out there, but we're going to take this and it's going to, I think this is the key when we're talking about people with ADHD. It helps us to focus and like get the structure there. And then we can have a jumping point, hammer out what we need to get done, and then be able to get things done so much faster than we could have before.
Yeah, it's such a great way to organize our thoughts and find the holes. It's always been my thing with books. My brain skips some things that people might need to know to fill in the blanks between my thoughts. Sometimes I step, sometimes I leap to a whole different thought. So I am writing a book, not quite on the organizing topic, but very much on the mindset topic. And I'm using Notebook LM right now to do it, which is so fun. Sometimes I'll use Notebook LM to get some analysis and information, and then I'll pop it in my trained GPT to make it sound more like me. And then I can go in and I can massage it and make sure that it's saying exactly what I want and add any new ideas that I have after I've already done the thing. I've always got new ideas that I add in. But you can also have fun with this too. I strongly believe that one of the best ways to use AI is to play with it. My Path members have known I've created poems for them. I've created rap songs for them. I have had it tell stories in a silly way about an organizing concept. Oh, I see. So it's been really fun. So one of the things that I did this morning with my writing GPT is I asked it to redo that whole training as a teenager, speaking primarily in slang to her best friend using Urban Dictionary as a reference. And I shared the website. And it was so fun to see what it came up with because it made the information so much more interesting for me to read. And I know Deb DeLacy talked about feeding a bunch of security standards, really boring stuff into Notebook LM or Chat GPT. And in order to find like an interesting way to present it, well, even if it's just for you, make it more fun because I'd much rather learn from like if I was a teenager self, how to train ChatGPT, and you can actually enjoy the process a whole lot if you just let yourself play. And so that's my GPT. The nice thing also after that is you can also have it finish it up for you. So tie it up with a bow. You can ask it to create a prompt to use in a different image generator, or just create a prompt and create the image for you right there. So if you're writing a blog article or if you're sending something fun, like I created a fun email to my sister based on a text she sent me about seeing a potato on a potato couch on the highway. I'm like, what's a potato couch? So I wrote my email, wrote it and then pasted it in. And I said, make an image of a potato couch based on this email. And it made like a super fun picture of this potato sitting on a couch holding a remote control in the middle of the highway that I sent along with it, which now it's still a joke between me and my sister is this potato couch. So you can have fun with it, business and not, but it can really get more attention if you can use it. Even if you don't use the final design, you can use it to help spark ideas of what that might look like. So that is how I use it for writing. Oh, there it is. Found what I was looking for before. That's okay though. And Angie, did you have anything for writing that you wanted to talk about?
No, I think that's perfect. You did a great summary of it. And one thing I will add,
Please.
and this is something that I'm learning again. So we talk about layers, so like a starter, and then a little bit more advanced, and then holy cow. So this is when you can actually layer those custom GPTs together. And so that's another topic that I'm exploring. So like you create, your voice and your brand with this certain GPT, and then you can call in different experts. So like if you're want to call in a social media expert, another GPT. So like you can layer them. So it's just really phenomenal. And I don't want to overwhelm anybody because that's a lot. So we'll keep it
Tuck it
there.
away
But
for
just
later.
Just know that there's like you just got to dive in if you're
She
not there
taught me
yet.
that like about a week ago. It blew
Yeah.
my mind. Blew
Yeah.
my mind. I'm so excited.
Yeah.
She teaches me so much too.
I love it. Okay, and I think up next you have to-do lists.
Yep. And I won't go very deep into this one because this and the research parts I'm going much more in depth into during the webinar, but I wanted you to see a little bit of what we've done, and not a problem at all. Sharon, she says she's copied the links.
Yeah, don't worry, Sharon.
will-
I'm going to send, I've
gonna
been
do
kind
that.
of writing them down. At the end, I'll send a summary with all of the links to all of these resources because I know there's been a lot of stuff shared.
Yeah. I always have so much I want to share, and that's my problem. I use ChatGPT to sometimes tell me what to throw away and make into something else.
I love it.
Still working on actually following its advice, but we're getting there. So for to-do lists, you can handle your to-do lists and have it help you prioritize things. You can have it help create what are the small steps within a project that I need to do, and even help you track, okay, well, where am I within this project? And you can, now they came out with a new thing that's super fun, saved a lot of money on Amazon because of it, is tasks. It can give you reminders and do tasks in the background for you and let you know when something that you want it to watch happens. So I'll give you super quick examples of these. So first off, to-do lists and priorities. So with the to-do lists and priorities, one way that I have started playing around with, I don't do this for myself completely yet. I'm still playing with all the stuff. But I took my reminders app from my phone and I had it print out a PDF of all of the reminders that were open. I then simply went over to Notebook LM. We're back to Google's Notebook LM again. And I added that as a source within Notebook LM. So where is it? I want to go to the top. Oh, actually, no, I lied. This one is ChatGPT. So within ChatGPT, I added it within ChatGPT, my entire PDF of the to-do list. I didn't change a thing on it. And I asked it, can you help me track my to-do list and prioritize what to do first each day? So once I uploaded that, it created some of the basic summaries for me. And then I asked it to create a summary of what are all the due dates? You know, can you just organize it with due dates? And then it came up with its brilliant tables. Now, Notebook LM can't do tables right now. It's still a lot newer, but it has time-sensitive tasks in one table. And don't worry too much. I'm not going to go really in-depth about this one because during our webinar, I will go much more in depth about how to do this. But this one is time-sensitive tasks, and it has the due date. As you can tell, I used an old list because some of these are not checked off that are due. It has category, and it has when it repeats. So that's things with upcoming or specific due dates. Then it has ones that are past due, and then it has non-urgent or no specific dates. And then recently passed or possibly completed that I should double check because it's like, I think you've probably done this by now. And then next steps, it even tells me how it can help me prioritize. It can help me decide what's urgent versus important. It can help me create a framework, either, you know, whatever type of framework I want, the Eisenhower matrix, the ABCDE, whatever it is that you like to use. If you have one, if you don't, it can tell you what those are. It's a mini Susanna in your pocket for some of this, but without the fast talking. And it can even help me check in and create my plan for each day. So here's an example, like example for today's focus. A, pay Christina, high priority because it's due today. B, do the payroll total. If you haven't finalized it, this is urgent. Although it says, though the date shows it should have been done yesterday. So it reminds me.
Susanna, I may have missed this, but where did it get the initial information that you plugged in?
I simply took my phone. Well, I did it on my Mac from my reminders app on my phone, created a PDF of all of my reminders.
Got it.
and uploaded the PDF, one
Okay.
document.
Okay.
Took all of like 2 minutes, only
Got it.
because I could not remember where to find the convert to PDF button.
Okay.
So yeah. And then, so then I can just go in the morning and I can say, what should I work on today? Or I can say, I have 3 hours available and I'm in kind of like a detail mode. What can I work on today? Or I'm feeling really creative. What's active and creative on my list? And I can always update that list whenever I need to. So I can, just tell it to ignore the old PDF and upload a new one, say use this instead, and ask it those questions. It'll just keep on going as though it's reading it live. It can't connect and read it live yet. And actually, that's right. I saw Sharon asked, no, not Sharon. Margot asked if you can integrate Evernote information with an AI. Evernote has its own AI integration that I've not played around with yet. But with Notebook LM or Chat GPT, I don't believe, and Angie, correct me if I'm wrong, you know more about integrations. I don't believe Evernote has a direct integration with either of these.
No, I put in there that you would want to probably download your Evernote to PDFs and then upload them over
I
there.
was thinking,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah, we think alike. I'm sure that eventually they'll have more integrations. Right now, they're still really, really new. Yeah.
And then if I could add to the concept of your to-do list, because this is something that I literally just learned last week. And we're talking about kind of like embracing our superpower, which is ADHD.
Yes.
That there is this tool called Notion. And I don't know if you have played around with this at all, but can I steal the screen? Do you have any
Absolutely.
more that you were adding to that?
I just have like 2 quick things that I was going to show, but
Yes, I'll let you. Well, I was
no,
going to
go for
say,
it. Share it.
okay.
Yeah.
So if anyone's looking for something just kind of different to try, I've been playing with this and it's called Notion.so. And you can set up, and it's like there's a lot. So you could probably spend days in here and get a little bit lost. So I just wanted to simplify it. But again, in talking about like kind of keeping track, because what happens for me is a lot of times things just start swirling in my head. Like there's so many ideas. And I know you're like this too, Susanna. Like, okay, reel it in or just put it somewhere for a little while so it can sit and just simmer there. And so these are some things that I think are really cool. So you can tag it with like what category it belongs in, and then be able to add all the details over in here. So like these are the things that you want to remember and come up with. So that's just another tool I just wanted to share if anyone's looking for a way to kind of organize all of those thoughts.
Awesome. Yeah, I use Notion with my entire team for my business. So we all have access to Notion, and like all the brains of our operation are in Notion. So it's a powerful tool, which I love. I was just replying to Ellen really quickly. Sorry. Taking that moment and
Yes,
loving what
thank
you're
you.
saying though. So the last bit that I wanted to share, and yeah, my brain was like, I can do this in 30 minutes. That's me. I'm sorry. But hopefully it's okay. If you have to go, it's fine. You will get the replay. I want you to know that. But I am currently creating an app to replace my website and integrate with the desktop version and mobile. I've never done this before, and I'm doing it on a WordPress, which is a totally different platform from the easy drag and drop ones that I've always used. So I have been really relying on AI to help me with this. One way that I've been able to use AI to help me with this massive project, because I've got a membership, I've got a course, I've got calendar, everything. My world is on the website. Is I have AI helping me break down this process step by step and giving me exact steps and answers as I go. So within one of the chats, and each time I do a new project, I do it within a new chat. So that way that information stays together and it remembers just that information and does not pull random stuff that I might have asked on other chats. So I just hit the button at the top, new chat, and start a new chat. And I told it what I was trying to do. Now, I made a mistake at the beginning. It worked out fine, but you really never want a prompt that's this long because it will miss out on some of the details of it, which we'll talk about during the webinar. But I told it what I was trying to do, and I told it what tools I had so far that I knew that I wanted to use. And then I asked it, how do I do this? Like, what are the steps? What do I need to do? And it broke the entire project down for me. It told me plan and preparation stage and outlined exactly every step that I needed to do, including the small steps that I needed to do for those steps. It told me install and configure WordPress steps, choose and install the member course and community plugins. Like each phase of this project, it has outlined for me in milestones. Like my members and followers know I talk about milestones all the time. So those small goals within the project are the milestones. So it broke out the milestones for me. It broke that milestone into other milestones because it is time consuming changing and doing a whole thing. And then it told me the small steps. Now, as I'm going through my project, I am just going down this list and doing exactly what it says. I'm not keeping track of it within ChatGPT, but I could tell it what I'm finished with. So that way, if I walk away, it can say, this is what you still have to do. But when I get stuck on something, and something maybe does not look exactly like what it said or anything like that, that I can ask it questions based on the outline it just gave me. So there is an entire chat sequence about which plugin I need to use in order to make it so I can get alerts sent to people's phones. And I was able to ask it question after question, and it would give me the sources. So then I could click on the source to go to the website of the software it's talking about. It would give me the pros and cons, and I'd list out, okay, well, these are the things that came pre-installed. And it's like, you don't need those, they're garbage. So it really helped me along the way too, because it already had the plan. So it knew all the steps that I was going to need to go through, and it knew all the things that I was going to need to have this website do and function with. So it could tell me when I got to, okay, well, how do I make this integrate? It knew, okay, well, you don't want to use this one because it's not going to work well with this other thing that's part of your plan up here. So use this one instead. I never would have known half of these things, even like 18 millionth of these things without AI. And it keeps track of my progress if I want it to. If I can ask it, what's the last step that I was asking questions about? And I know, okay, that's where I was deep diving into. And it's been fantastic. So if you want to take a big project, even if all you know about the project is, I want to cook a Thanksgiving dinner for 32 people, then you can enter that in. You can even ask it, what do you need to know from me in order to help me create the plan? And it will tell you, please tell me this, 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 and this, and then I'll create the plan for you. So you answer its questions and boom, it's got that all laid out for you. And you can always ask with anything, is there anything else you need to know? Or is there anything else that would help you? Something like that. And it will tell you if it can give you a better answer with an additional piece of information. So you can chat with it, just like if it was your assistant. Angie, oh, you're muted, Angie.
Thank you.
Yeah.
On the left-hand side of your screen where it says projects, there's actually an area there down under the GPT area. And you can, and then go up just, yeah, right there. So if you want to keep and house everything in a project and keep coming back to it like that, you can set that up there. So that's awesome.
I just learned that like 2 days ago.
Yeah. So
Angie
it's,
has so many great ideas that sometimes I've not found yet.
well, I
love
think
that.
we all have great ideas. That's the thing.
Yeah.
So this session, and also I just want to recognize that it can be like, okay, this is too much. And okay. So what I want everyone to do now is just take a minute and write down your one takeaway in the chat. Like, what's the one thing that you're going to leave here today and you're going to try or do, or maybe a question that you have. We really wanted to keep this session to 30 minutes. I love it. We are at an hour, but that is great because And I would like to recognize that everyone stayed on for that long. So this is really great content. It'll be recorded. We'll also send an email out to everyone who registered so that they have all of that information. So let's take a pause.
That's
If
about
there's
it. Yeah.
anyone with questions who would like to ask anything while we're here, lots more to learn that we know that this is just a start and we're just diving in.
And that's pretty much all I was going to really talk about anyway. So don't worry. This is a great time to let it marinate in your head. But as I normally say, start with one new thing. Don't try to do all of it. So if you even one new software, if you're going to try GPT, just try that one for a little bit, or Notebook LM, just try that one for a little bit and try one thing within it. Try Angie's webinar or my webinar to learn the how-to of just a couple of these. So that way you can have some guidance if you need it. But play also. Where do you want to play today? Where do you want to get curious in? Because you cannot break it. It's no matter what you do, you can't break it. Just don't enter your social security number anywhere. But you already know that. And that's, you're good.
Okay, so let's do this.
Love it.
If you are interested, I'm going to pop in. There's a free Facebook group. Okay, it's called
Yes.
AI
Well, let me
Business
turn off the screens
Boost.
here.
And we'll put that in there. We have Susanna's webinar is specifically regarding Notebook LM, right? And then
Yes.
my webinar that I'm going to be doing is going to be about training your GPT. And so I'll grab that link and then we will send all of these over to you guys. And then I think Susanna and I are going to be doing some collaborations. So maybe this can be a regular episode that we have because this was a lot of fun.
Then we could target just little chunks at a time.
Yeah.
AI can do so much. No matter
Yeah.
what it is that you're trying to work on, it can probably help in some way. And, the goal is, do it safely. Don't enter your private information in places, but you already know that one. And have fun. So I love that Melanie says, my takeaway is go play with Notebook. And I look forward to future webinars with both Angie and Susanna.
That's
Yes. And if
awesome.
you're not sure which webinar to do, they'll both come, I'm assuming yours does, come with
Yep.
replays afterwards.
Yeah.
So if you aren't sure, then feel free to sign up for both and keep the replay for whenever you want it. Or nice thing is after my webinar, feel free, upload the transcript and then into Notebook, and then you can ask questions about my webinar right within it. So
that's genius. And the same
yeah,
with today,
same
because
with
it's
this
going to
one.
be a link. It'll be a link on YouTube. So you can enter the YouTube link in Notebook LM and have it summarize it for you. I love it.
Yes.
All right. Well, without further ado, then we're going to sign off and we hope that everyone has a great day. And we thank you so much for spending an hour of your Friday with us.
Sorry I went longer, but I love you all so much.
Oh, I
I'm
love
excited
it.
to see what you do.
Perfect.
Thank you so much,
Okay.
Angie.
Take care. Bye, everyone.
Bye, beautiful.